All right, here's what's up. This man's one of the greatest coaches in the history of college football. He's a three-time national champion. He's 7-0 against Michigan. He is on Big Noon Kick, and he joins us now on the Bryan Heating and Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. Coach Urban Meyer joining us. Coach, thank you so much for the time. I want to go way back for you as a kid who grew up in this state. What are your first recollections of Ohio State, Michigan?
Oh, very clear memories of it. Obviously, it was a 10-year war. I grew up. I was 6 years old when, or maybe 5, 6 years old when the Wolverines hired some guy named Bo Schembechler to kind of get this rivalry right, Woody Hayes' protege. So I remember that very well. I remember Ohio State winning a national championship in '68, and then the big upset, and then just a street fight for the next 10 years. And then I remember Earl Bruce. So I really remember everything. I'm one of those guys that I just, from the day I could say Buckeye, I understood this rivalry and I lived it.
What does 7-0 mean to you?
Boy, now that I'm done coaching and I kind of look back on it now, and I mean, you can say the national championships mean more, but I've been asked that question. I think 7-0 might be my greatest memory of my career, is because of the respect and I always say this, the respect I have for that other school, the respect I have for my great state. And I really honestly don't know what I would have done if we lost some of those games. That's how much, we put into that game, and, that's how much that game means to me, and I know so many.
I remember some of them, Coach, being on the sidelines towards the end of some of those games, and certainly the game up there in 13, or Curtis Samuel walking it off in overtime, and there has to be almost a physical collapse, and in some instances you physically did because of how much was wound into it.
Yeah, I didn't realize I went down in 16 until after the game. Someone told me. I mean, it's one of those moments that you can't bottle that. You can't even, I'm trying to think of the word that tries to put you in that scenario where all's on the line. When Brady Hoke went for 2, which was the right call in the 2013 game, and we called timeout right before they snapped that ball, and I thought they would change it, but they kept the same. I don't know if it was the same exact play, but it looked like it, and we called the defense. Kerry Combs and them made the perfect call. So, yeah, I mean, if you could bottle that, I'm not sure people would want to get near it.
It's not just this one, though, and this is the next thing that I think is really interesting. So going all the way back to Bowling Green, Utah, Florida. At Bowling Green, you got to beat Toledo. Utah, you got to beat BYU. At Florida, you really got to beat Tennessee, Georgia, and Florida State. And then here, you got to beat Michigan. In those games, Coach, you are a combined 26-3. How did you have your team 10 feet tall and bulletproof, but not have the pressure so much that it broke them? What was your secret to rivalry games? How did you have so much success in them?
Well, they became year-round challenges. I think I know how much the game meant to me, and I tried to make that, permeate through the team. And however you did that, we did. If there's a documentary, I made them watch it. If there was, we would work in January, February, March, and in spring practice, it's well documented. We had team up north periods. We did the same thing when I was at Utah. We had team down south periods, and school out west that was Tallahassee at Florida. So we just put so much emphasis on those games, and I wanted our players to live it like I felt it. I mean, I woke up every day with a clear understanding we had to beat that team, and I wanted, more importantly than me, the players.
What is it like up there? And this one will be up there on Saturday. And you think about the times that you walk out of that tunnel. And they have that tunnel, of course, where both teams come out of that same tunnel. The emotion when you walk out of that tunnel, and then from your perspective, the emotion of walking into that tunnel with that stadium silent, or with the OHIO echoing around it.
Yeah, again, it's one of those moments when you're coaching. It's horrific, awful, whatever words you want to use. Now I kind of look back and think, damn, that was unbelievable. I got some pictures of people spitting on me and throwing things at me, and as you come down that tunnel, I still get it a little bit at Big Noon, but not near to the same degree. But when I can't remember, a couple times we heard the OHIO echoing through the big house, and that was one of those moments that you just wish you could freeze in time. So a lot of respect for that place, a lot of respect. The minute someone says, well, we're a double-digit favorite, I know what Coach Day's saying, and those better players, the players need to know on the other side, those are great players that are going to play their best. You better be ready.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, this is truly a throw the records out situation. Both these teams have been really good in the last decade, and they both won national championships and all of that. As we turn our attention to the game this year, Coach, as you've gotten your view of this Buckeye team over the course of the season several times on Big Noon, it's an awfully talented group. Their defense is as good as any in the country. What are just some of your impressions of the way that Ryan Day has brought this team along this year?
Yeah, I spoke to Coach Patricia a couple of times last few weeks, just trying for TV to get some good stuff for the fan to look at, and I really studied this defense. And, the concern is they've not fixed the elite offenses yet. I keep hearing that, but that doesn't matter. That's on their schedule, and they've done it. You went out to Washington and faced a talented quarterback and shut him down. You faced Arch Manning, shut him down. So, facing a young Bryce Underwood, I'm going to make this comment on TV, is that if I'm that coach at the Wolverines, I'm not putting that kid in third and long, and I'm trying to shorten this game and run him and move the chains and get first downs, because you drop back to pass against this defense. There's a variety of things that can happen. Two of them are really, really bad, and that's sacks and turnovers. And that's when games get out of hand fast. So it's great as an offense coach. I think, going into a game, if you score the ball if you score the 3 times, you win the game. And you can find ways to score 3 times.
Coach, there's not a whole lot of secret to this in college football. Like, if you have a lot of talent, you're going to have a lot of success. And I wanted to ask you about kind of that triumvirate that Ohio State has defensively with Arvell and Sonny at the linebackers, who both, those guys are so versatile. They can play so many different ways. And then Caleb Downs on the back end, who is kind of an eraser. And to me, they feel like they are kind of perfect for dealing with somebody like Bryce Underwood. It's not just their athleticism and talent, but it's their acumen. They're such intelligent players. What have you seen from that group, and how do they compare to some of the great ones that you've coached through the years?
Yeah, I did this on TV the other day, or I think a month or so ago, is that on offense you're always looking for indicators, and indicators are position specific. If Caleb Downs is here, this is what they're doing. If Arvell Reese is here, this is what they're doing. And there aren't any. And obviously Matt Patricia is a unique skill set. He's been an OC, a DC, and a general manager in the NFL. I love the guy. I've been friends with him a long time. And when you have skill set and intellect to go with the skill set, and, I did that with the Percy Harvins, and on offense. When you can teach multiple positions, that drives the other side nuts, because the term indicators go out the window.
Yeah, and there's no indicators with those 3. Julian Sayin is going to make his first start in this game. He's a Southern California kid. I'm not sure if he's ever. I know he's never played in a game like this, and certainly never played meaningful snaps in a game that's potentially going to have the weather conditions that we're going to have on Saturday. How would you manage a young quarterback, and how did you manage young quarterbacks in games like this, especially on the road?
Well, go back to Texas, and I think Ryan Day and Brian Hartline put on a master class on how to handle a young quarterback. It would be a whole different deal if you have to score 40 points. A whole mindset, practice, game plan, everything. You don't. I don't see that happening. So I think I would manage it. I would let him play exactly like he did against Texas, and that's move the ball, get first downs, and I'd read his eyes. I would always say that. I'd call the quarterback over, and you can tell what's going on in that player's mind. If he's got the big eyes, I'm handing that ball off and I'm doing things, but if he's got a little swagger to him and the cold's not impact him, and you got to feel what they're doing on defense, I let him play. But I certainly early in the game, I'd do exactly what they did against Texas.
Yeah, he's so efficient, so accurate, and I think better than a lot of people thought he would be around here right away. I thought the Texas game was a masterclass. Coach, I'll get you out of here on this one. Where are your 7 gold pants?
Oh, they're about 15 feet from me in my house in Sarasota. And my builder surprised me and built like a glass and wall. So you got the rings and the gold pants right there. So, yeah, and by the way, there's an alarm on it. You can't touch them.
I love that, man. I love it. Coach, thank you so much for your time. You're good at everything. You're great at television, and you guys are kicking it on Big Noon in a big way, and look forward to the broadcast on Saturday leading into the game. Thank you so much for your time, Coach, and happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Thank you, brother. Bye.
All right, there he goes. Urban Meyer, 7-0 against that team up north. That stat I gave you guys that I asked Coach about is the one that is pretty remarkable. I don't know that there's another coach in the history of the sport. I'd have to check Saban, like going all the way back to Toledo, to find a coach who went 26-3 in rivalry games. 26-3. At Florida, he was 16-2, 7-0 here in rivalry games. He just got it, and his teams got it, and they won him in a big, big way. It was a real treat having him on, of course, as it always is. Urban has some thoughts on the game that we're going to share for you coming up next. We'll take a look at the Buckeye basketball team getting a win last night and a busy sports weekend ahead that's coming up next.